Are you tired of the same old top 10 lists that just rehash graphics and combat? What if I told you there's a secret formula, an it factor that truly separates a good game from a must-play experience? We're diving deep into the creative and mechanical nuances that make a game truly unforgettable, revealing the specific criteria I use to curate my exclusive weekly list. When I choose games for my top 10 lists, the very first thing I look for is identity. Not graphics, not budget, not hype, not marketing promises. I want to know if the game truly understands what it wants to be. The best games don't try to do everything at once or chase trends. They commit to a clear vision and stick to it, even if that means appealing to a smaller audience. When you turn the game off, you shouldn't remember a checklist of features. You should remember how it made you feel. The atmosphere, the pacing, the tone, the emotional weight. If a game leaves a strong impression even hours later, it has a real identity. And if it doesn't, no amount of content or polish can hide that emptiness. The second thing I pay close attention to is the opening hour. If a game can't hook me within the first hour, it doesn't belong in a top 10 list. A good game respects the player's time and attention. It doesn't rely on excuses like, just wait, it gets better later. It understands that first impressions matter. That doesn't mean non-stop action or explosions, but it does mean purpose. I always ask myself one simple question. Did I want to keep playing without forcing myself? The best games pull you forward naturally, almost subconsciously. You don't continue because you feel obligated. You continue because stopping feels wrong. Next comes gameplay over presentation. This is one of the most important criteria for me. I always imagine stripping the game down to its core. No cutscenes, no music, no visual effects, just mechanics, controls, and player interaction. If it's still fun in that raw state, the game has a strong foundation. Presentation can elevate an experience, but it can never replace good gameplay. Great games feel good to control. They have rhythm, responsiveness, and a satisfying sense of feedback. When simply moving, fighting, or interacting feels rewarding, you know the designers truly understood what makes games enjoyable at their core. Another key factor is freedom in problem solving. I value games that give players tools instead of instructions. The best experiences don't constantly tell you exactly what to do. They allow you to discover solutions on your own. When there's more than one valid way to approach a situation, the game becomes personal. Your solution might be completely different from someone else's, and both can be right. Trial and error, experimentation, improvisation. That's where truly memorable gameplay is born. Games that trust the player enough to allow freedom almost always leave a deeper, longer-lasting impression. Finally, I look for at least one truly memorable moment. Not necessarily something epic or cinematic. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's unexpected. But it's a moment you can recall instantly without thinking. A situation you describe to someone as a story, not as a mechanic. When someone asks, "Why is this game special?" and you can answer with a personal experience instead of a feature list, that game has earned its place. These moments can't be forced, but they naturally emerge in games with strong systems and meaningful player choice. And those are the moments that stay with us long after the screen goes dark. Some of the best moments I've ever had in games didn't come from scripted events or cutscenes. They came from systems interacting in unexpected ways. That's something I value a lot. When a game is built on strong systems, it can react to the player instead of just following a plan. You do something strange, something risky, something unplanned, and the game answers back in a way that feels logical, not forced. That's when magic happens. Those moments feel personal because they weren't designed specifically for you, yet they happened because of you. When I ask myself whether something surprising happened that the game clearly didn't plan step by step, and the answer is yes, that game immediately earns points in my book. Another important factor is trust. Great games trust the player. They don't constantly explain every mechanic or block you from making mistakes. They allow failure to be part of the learning process instead of something to avoid at all costs. When a game doesn't hold my hand, I feel like an active participant rather than a spectator following instructions. I can experiment, take risks, and sometimes mess things up, and that's okay. In fact, that's often where the most interesting experiences come from. When I finish a session feeling like I was truly playing the game, not just watching it unfold, I know that game respects me as a player. Atmosphere is another thing that can quietly make or break a game. I'm not talking about realism. I'm talking about consistency. The music, the visuals, the pacing, and the gameplay all need to pull in the same direction. When everything fits together, the game becomes believable on its own terms. Even the most stylized or abstract worlds can feel immersive if they're consistent. But when something feels out of place, a soundtrack that doesn't match the mood, or gameplay that clashes with the tone, the illusion breaks. I always ask myself if everything feels like it belongs together. If it does, the experience becomes much stronger and more memorable. One of the clearest signs of a great game is what happens after you stop playing. If I keep thinking about it once the screen is off, the game has done something right. Maybe I'm replaying moments in my head. Maybe I'm thinking about different choices I could have made. Maybe I'm already planning my next session. Good games don't end when you quit to the menu. They linger. They stay with you. When a game makes me want to return to it either mentally or physically, that's a powerful indicator that it left a real mark. Finally, I always look for courage. A top 10 game doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to take risks. Playing it safe rarely leads to something memorable. I respect games that try something new, even if it doesn't work for everyone. Innovation always comes with rough edges, and that's fine. I ask myself a simple question. Without this game, would the gaming landscape be more boring? If the answer is yes, then that game deserves recognition. Because progress doesn't come from safe choices, it comes from bold ones. And that's the real reason these games make my top 10. Not because they're safe, popular, or trending, but because they take risks, respect the player, and create experiences that stay with you long after you stop playing. If a game can do that, it deserves to be remembered. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.